So moved.
Seconded.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Mr. Cooper and Mrs. Shea have made a motion to approve the agenda. Are all in favor? If so, say aye.
Aye.
The agenda has been approved. All right, for the next item, it is my pleasure and privilege to conduct the election of the chair of the school board for calendar year 2020 and thereafter until his or her successor is elected and qualified. Are there any nominations for the position of school board chair?
Madam Superintendent, if I could?
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Reverend Cooper to be our next chair.
Okay, Mrs. Ogborn's made a nomination. Are there any other nominations at this time? Okay, hearing no other nominations, the nominations are closed. Is there a motion on the nomination of Mr. Cooper as chair?
Do I make the motion too? I'll make the motion that we have Reverend Cooper as our next chair.
All right, Mrs. Ogborn has made a motion for Mr. Cooper as the next chair. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? The motion has passed. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman. All right. Okay, you're up. I think now the next person's up.
It is now my pleasure and privilege to conduct the election of the vice chair of the school board for the calendar year 2020 and thereafter until his or her successor is elected and qualified. Are there any nominations for the position of school board vice chair?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to nominate Mrs. Ogburn.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, the nominations are closed. Is there a motion on the nomination? Is there a motion on the nomination as vice chair?
So moved.
It has been moved by Ms. Shea that Ms. Ogburn would be the vice chairman of the school board of Henrico County. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Congratulations, Ms. Ogburn, as vice chairman of the school board.
Thank you.
Yeah, do clerk.
At this time, we will go into closed session.
No, we got to do
Oh, clerk, we're going to do clerk too? Oh, second page, gotcha, all right.
Lots of organization.
At this time, I'm pleased to conduct the election of those individuals to serve as clerk to the school board and deputy clerk to the school board. By school board policy, nominations for these two offices will come from our superintendent of schools. Dr. Cashwell, do you wish to make a nomination for clerk and deputy clerk to the school board?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do. It is my pleasure to nominate Mrs. Debbie Ward as clerk to the school board and Mrs. Kathy Harris as deputy clerk to the school board for the calendar year 2020 and thereafter until their successors are elected and qualified.
Hearing no other nominations, the nominations are closed. Is there a motion on the nomination of Ms. Ward as clerk to the school board and Ms. Harris as deputy clerk to the school board?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mrs. Shea. Is there a second? Seconded by Mrs. Atkins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Congratulations and thank you, Ms. Ward and Ms. Harris.
Absolutely.
In accordance with the Code of Virginia, Section 22.1-76, the school board is required to approve a designee of the division superintendent to attend meetings of the school board in the absence or inability of the superintendent to attend. Dr. Cashwell, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it is my pleasure to recommend Dr. Beth Tigan, Chief of Staff, as the superintendent's designee to attend school board meetings in my absence or my inability to attend.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Superintendent. Is there a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation Dr. Beth Tigan, Chief of Staff, as the Superintendent's designee.
So moved.
It's been moved by Ms. Kinsella. Is there a second? Seconded by Mrs. Atkins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Those who abstain? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Cashwell. That's you. That's on you. Me.
Other than she can do it. The superintendent does meeting days, it's my recommendation. And then we do committee. You have it?
This was amply qualified as an organizational meeting. As you can see, we are getting ourselves organized moving forward. I seem to be missing a page.
It's okay.
Okay.
I'm passing it back and forth.
All right, so now we will handle the meeting dates and the establishment of meeting days for the school board. It's my recommendation that the school board establish the second and fourth Thursdays of each month as the meeting days of the County School Board of Henrico County, Virginia, to comply with Chapter 7, Title 22.1 of the Code of Virginia, the second and fourth Thursday of each month for the regular work sessions, and the fourth Thursday of each month for the monthly business meetings, noting that meeting dates may be added or changed throughout the year as necessary, and I would, of course, note that January is an exception because of the late winter break.
Thank you so much, Madam Superintendent. Is there motion to approve the second and fourth Thursdays of each month as the meeting days of the County School Board of Henrico County, Virginia?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mrs. Shea. Is there a second? Seconded by Mrs. Atkins. All those in favor, would you say aye?
Aye.
All those opposed? Those abstained? The motion passes. Last but certainly not least, we have the 2020 committee assignments by our board members. Board members, you've had an opportunity to review the assignments. Are there any corrections or addendums?
And then you read them.
And I would just note that they are posted in board docs, or if you would read? They will be posted in board docs rather than us reading through them here.
Oh, I think we do read them, don't we? We've done it in the past. Yeah, we've done it in the past,
All right, I'm literate.
because it's going to be for the record. Yeah, read
Ms. Alicia Atkins, Henrico Healthy Family Community Advisory Committee, Henrico Police Athletic League, Instructional Materials Review Committee, School Health Advisory Board, Special Education Advisory Committee, Roscoe Cooper Audit Committee, Equity and Diversity Advisory Committee, Henrico County Vocational Technical Education Foundation Committee, Krista Kinsella, Audit Committee, English Learner Advisory Committee, Henrico County Self-Insurance Trustees Committee, Policy Committee, Strategic Planning Committee, Mickey Ogburn, Gifted Education Advisory Council, Henrico Education Foundation, Maggie Walker, Governor Schools, Regional Board, Policy Committee, Marcy Shea, Career and Technical Education Business Advisory Council, Code RVA Regional High School, Maggie Walker, Governor School, Regional Board Alternate, Strategic Planning Committee. And the Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee is a staff member. If there are no corrections or addendums to the committees as assigned, I would like to entertain a motion that the 2020 committee assignments will be received as read.
So moved.
It's been moved by Mrs. Ogburn. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Atkins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you so much. We will now enter into closed session. Gavel.
You have to read the close of meeting again. It's on the second page.
Is it? Okay, thanks. A closed meeting for discussion of matters covered under Titles A1, A2, and A7 of Section 2-2-3711, Code of Virginia, the assignment, appointment, performance, disciplining, and release of contract for specific school board employees, the admission and discipline of specific students, consultation with legal counsel pertaining to actual litigation involving personal injury, where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body. Is there a motion to enter into closed session?
So moved.
It's been moved by Ms. Shea. Is there a second?
Second.
Been seconded by Ms. Kinsella. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're now in closed session. Board members, we now need to certify that only the items that were on the agenda to be discussed in closed session were discussed. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
So moved. Is there a second?
Second?
It's been moved and properly second that only the items that were on the agenda to be discussed in closed session were discussed. All those in favor say aye.
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 Ayes have it. Motion carries. Madam Superintendent.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the first item, I bring you forth a recommendation that the school board approve the expulsion of student case number 19-20-S-3 for a violation of the Code of Student Conduct. And as always, the name of the student is protected under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act.
It has been recommended by the superintendent that we'll expel that student. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Thank you. For the next item, I'm recommending the expulsion of student case number 19-20-S-4 for violation of the Code of Student Conduct.
Is there a motion?
So moved?
May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Thank you. And one more recommendation for expulsion. This is related to student case number 19-20-S-5, also for violation of the Code of Student Conduct.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Next for your consideration is the recommendation that the school board approve participation in an alternative education program for student case number 19-20-S-3.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Finally, I'm asking your consideration for the approval of the readmission of student case number 18-19-S-10.
Is there a motion?
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second?
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the next item, I'm recommending the school board accept the $700 grant award from the Target Corporation and Scholarship America to Holiday Elementary School.
Is there a motion to accept the grant?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is carried.
Next, I'm recommending the acceptance of the School Security Equipment Grant Award of $5,444 from the Virginia Department of Education.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second?
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Thank you. Next, I'm recommending the acceptance of the Virginia Tiered Systems of Support Grant Award from the Virginia Department of Education in the amount of $36,223.38.
Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion is carried.
Thank you. Next is the recommendation of the acceptance of the $1,000 grant award to Deep Run High School and the $1,500 grant award to Glenallen High School from the Richmond Forum.
Is there a motion to accept this?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Motion is carried.
Thank you. Next, I'm recommending that the school board accept the Henrico Education Foundation grant award totaling $47,880 for Cycle 2 of the 2019-2020 school year.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
And second?
It's been moved and properly second that we accept it. All in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, none being said, the motion is carried.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am, Ms.
May I have a
Ogburn.
moment
You may.
of personal privilege? Just wanted, even though they're not here, I wanted to thank the Henrico Education Foundation for their support and for all that they do for our students and our teachers to provide just amazing opportunities. I have a board meeting tonight, and I will thank them in person.
Please do. Thank you so much, Ms. Ogburn. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, thank you. The final item I'm bringing forth is related to an update on the redistricting process. And so Mr. Sorensen will come forward and provide a brief overview of where we are in that process, and of course, offer the board an opportunity to ask any questions you may have. Mr. Sorensen.
Thank you, Dr. Cashwell. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. We did open the new year with 3 redistricting meetings. The elementary committee met on January 7th, the secondary committee on the 8th, and the full committee met for the first time since the beginning of the process on January 9th. All meetings contain time for the committee to develop new options, and updated maps are being finalized by Cropper GIS for publication. The elementary committee is scheduled to meet February 4th at Hungry Creek. The secondary committee will meet next on the 5th here at New Bridge. And then we are trying to plan a meeting of both committees. So both committees got together the last time and really worked on some of the details, some of the feeder patterns. It was a really great session. We got lots of great feedback from the committee to be able to work together. So we are trying to plan one of those for February 6th. We're confirming with the committee their availability now. So we'll keep moving along. There will be options coming out from the meetings we had in January. They'll be posted as soon as we get them from Cropper GIS for the public to review and the committee to work on at their next meetings. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you all have.
Board members, are there any questions for Mr. Sorensen?
Mr. Sorensen, I have a question. So I've been using the interactive map that Cropper provides, which is super helpful.
Great.
And anybody who is looking at trying to see how the maps relate to each other, I highly recommend using that tool. One of the layers provided looks at who moved in the middle school move a few years ago. Is it possible to add a layer of who moved in the 2009 redistricting, or an image of the maps prior to the 2009 redistricting, so we can kind of understand historically where some of these communities have been and who got moved then versus middle school versus now?
I'm certain that we can provide that information in some manner, but we'll get with Cropper GIS right away to see if he can provide a layer, and if not, how we can provide that information.
Thank you, Ms. Shea. Anyone else for Mr. Crop? Madam Superintendent?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that concludes items from the superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Is there any unfinished business that we need to finish today? Is there any new business that we need to entertain today? All right. Having none, I want to announce our next meeting.
Go right ahead. Up there.
Our next meeting of our school board will be January 30th, 2020. Our work session will be at 2 p.m. Our monthly meeting at 6:30 p.m. at the New Bridge Learning Center Auditorium. That being said, the meeting is adjourned.